Hello everybody and welcome to your second last C Sharp XNA tutorial. So in this tutorial we're going to be learning to incorporate gravity within our programs. So for you physics junkies out there, we're not going to be doing the gravitational formula. We're not going to be applying mass and all that stuff to our players and stuff. You can do that, but I'm going to be showing you a common way on how they handle gravity in 2D games that will give you a realistic gravitational pull effect, but without getting in depth with all those formulas. So let us get right into the code. So first of all, what we need to do is have a texture 2D for the player. Okay, so once we set the texture 2D, then we want to set our player equal to content.load texture 2D, and we're loading sprite 1, I believe that's what it's called. If it's not, we'll get an error once we actually I'll look for it. Yeah, it's called sprite 1. Okay, so we have our player, and we're going to draw our player relative to the player's position. So in our draw command, we're going to do sprite batch.draw. We're going to draw our player, we're going to draw the position and the color.white. I don't know if I set a position, but it says there's a position. Okay, it says. Okay, so what we need to do, it says we need to create a position. So we created a position right there, and what we need to do is also have a velocity. So the way gravity works is that we're going to be adding the position based on the current velocity, and you're going to be seeing why the reason why we need to do this is because if gravity, which I should put right here, I'll put float, and I'll put it at say 100F. Okay, so I didn't even put a name for the variable. I'm so tired. Okay, gravity float equals. Okay, so gravity has a constant. Gravity's at a constant rate. Well, within our atmosphere, whatever, gravity is within a fall. You fall at a constant rate. Maybe at certain areas within our world or whatever, the gravitational pull isn't that strong. But if we're not getting in depth with physics, the gravitational pull is always the same. It's always constant. You might have some objects in your game that might increase the gravitational pull or something like that, but in reality, the gravity is the same. So we set it as a constant. So imagine that our gravitational pull was at 100, and our player moved down 100. Say like we move down 10 pixels each time, okay? Because we're gonna be multiplying the gravity times the game time, the elapsed game time, etc., etc. But say our player moves down 10 pixels every time, the gravity is equal to 10. Then if our player moves down by the gravitational value, then our player is just going to move down 10 pixels every single update, and therefore you're just going to follow a constant rate, which is not realistic. The method we're going to use is that we're going to use velocity. So we're going to increase the velocity based on the gravitational value. So that each time that we update, our player will fall down faster than before. And when we do a jump speed, the player, when it jumps, you will kind of like slow down, like you'll kind of like shoot up, but kind of slow down the air, and then you'll eventually come down, which will give it a realistic gravitational pull effect. So we got all our things set. So for initialize, we can set this equal to uh, vector 2 0. And if you didn't want to initialize your gravity there, you can initialize in the initialize method. But yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, in our update method, we really should have created a key state, but keyboard state. But I'm just gonna say that if they press the right key, then position x plus equals, and I should have made a move speed, but move speed times game times float game time, elapsed game time, total seconds. Okay, and else if, oh sorry, shouldn't be position. It should be velocity dot x is equal to, not plus equals is equal to. So if they press a left key, keys dot left, then we set our velocity dot x equal to our move speed times float game time dot lapse game time dot total seconds. Else we set our velocity to 0. So that means we're not moving if we're not pressing the right or left key. And then for jumping, we save keyboard dot get state dot is key down, keys up, and then our velocity dot y is equal to negative jump speed, and we'll be adding these variables after times float game time dot lapse game time dot total seconds. Okay, and we're gonna want to have a variable called jump. Okay, so what we need to add right now is a move speed. I'll set that to 500. Jump speed, I'll set that to 500 as well. And for a boolean variable called jump, and I'll set that to false. Okay, so jump is equal to true, that means we can jump. And if jump is equal to false, that means we cannot jump. Okay, so now we set up our directional buttons and our velocity. So this is how it's gonna work. So we're gonna say that velocity dot y plus equals gravity times game time times floats game time the lapse game time dot total seconds. And then we're gonna say position x plus equals, no, we'll just say position plus equals velocity. Okay, so then that's basically saying position x plus equals velocity x and position y plus equals velocity y. Okay, and I don't know why. I don't know if I made the gravity. I don't know if I spelled gravity wrong up there. Let me go and check. Yes, I did, like an idiot. Anyways, so we got our gravity set. So every single time we loop, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say if jump is false. So if not jump, then we decrease the velocity. So that means if the player's in the air, that means we decrease the velocity. And else we just set velocity dot y equals to 0. Okay, so that means where our player won't move down if it's jumping. So if they press up and jump, then we just want to set jump equal to false if they press a jump. Okay, so we add our velocity to that, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna say that if position dot y is greater than or equal to what's our ground height? Let's say our ground height is 500. Okay, so if position dot y is greater than or equal to 500, or actually we can do this. We can say we can say that jump is equal to true, and we could put else jump equals to false. But that is wasting a lot of code. If you notice in our if statements, these are conditional operators. This statement can only be this statement can only be true or false, right? It can't be any other value. If position y is less than 500, then it will return false, and if position y is greater than or equal to 500, this statement remains true. So instead of doing all of this, all we have to do is say jump is equal to position dot y is greater than or equal to 500, and then this value will return equals to true or false. So if this is greater than or equal to 500, then jump is going to be equal to true, and if it's less than or equal to 500, then jump is going to be equal to false. Okay, so simple enough. So we got our player plus equals velocity, we got our jump, and we got everything set. So if we run this program, let's see what we get so far. So so far we run into a problem. So then we have to say that if jump is equal to true, then we want to reset our player's y position equal to 500. So if we run this one more time, I don't know what's going on. Let's set this to 400. Yeah, because I didn't really know the screen's height, so my bad. So then when it touches the when the player touches the ground, then it will stay on the ground and jump will be equal to true. Okay, so one problem is that one thing I forgot to note is that for our velocity, I'm supposed to set it that if they press the left key, velocity x is equal to negative move speed times the game time. So then if we press this right here, so we move towards the right if we press right, and we move towards the left if we press the left key. So let me put this into view. So and so on and so forth. So if we try to jump, you notice that we're kind of jumping and we have gravitational pull, etc., etc. But our jump speed isn't really high enough. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to set the jump speed to say 1,000. So if we jump, you notice that our player can jump and then it will fall down at a nice smooth rate. And if you don't want the gravitational pull to be that great, that strong, then you can set to like a lower value, like 50 or something. And then your player will kind of like float in the air a bit before it falls down. Depending on what type of how much gravitational pull you want, you can adjust that. But that is it for this tutorial. So I'm just gonna kind of skim through it quickly just to show you what I did. So we have our velocity, so our velocity x and our velocity y, okay? And if they press the right, we increase the velocity x. If they press left, we decrease the velocity x. And if they're not pressing anything, we set it to 0. If they press the up key and jump is equal to true, then we set velocity equal to negative jump speed times the game time dot elapsed game time. We do negative jump speed because remember up is to negative. Whenever you go, the smaller the value, the higher up on the screen it is. So we do a negative value to go towards the top of the screen, and we set jump to false. When jump is equal to false, then we increase velocity y by gravity. So say velocity y is equal to negative 100, and say gravity is equal to 10 or whatever. So it's gonna do negative 100 plus 10. It's gonna be negative 90, etc., etc. We add the velocity to the position, and therefore that gives us the change in position. We calculate to see if jump is equal to true or false, and if jump is equal to true, then we set it to the ground's position. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and have fun with gravity. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and bye.